So I don't want to say, I told you so, but damn, I told you so. The SEC is going to appeal. Why? I'll come back to that later. So we can round off what is actually happening here. Because please don't believe that this will go on until the end of time. So I do not see, even though Frederick Bowley has published a rough roadmap for 2021, according to the law. But let's take it step by step. Well, the SEC filed an appeal today, October 2nd. Of course, this is just 3 days before the deadline. Usual behavior of Gary Gensler, of course communicated through James K. Filan. Hashtag community SEC versus Ripple breaking. The SEC has filed an appeal against Judge Torres' decision, and of course, the reactions from Stuart Alderoty. The SEC's decision to file an appeal is disappointing but not surprising. This only prolongs what is already a complete embarrassment for the agency. The court has already dismissed the SEC's claims that Ripple acted recklessly, and there was none. There were no allegations of fraud and, of course, no victims or losses. Instead of applying the law diligently, this agency, under its leadership, continues to engage in a legal battle against the industry. We are considering whether to file a follow-up complaint. In any case, the SEC's lawsuit has been irrationally unfair from the beginning, and we are ready to prove this again before the appellate court, and once again take the lead for the industry. Coincidence that the enforcement director of the SEC announced his resignation about 1 hour earlier? Of course not. Rule 39 states that there are no such things as coincidences. Of course, he pulled a J. Clayton here, sending in the appeal brief, this 2021 document, which I always call a scrap of paper. Yes, where according to Jeremy Hagan, I talked about it in a video yesterday. It takes 15 minutes to write, and now they have 70 days. But we'll get to the deadlines later. Brad Garlinghouse also reacted with the following tweet. If Gensler and the SEC were rational, they would have put this case behind them a long time ago. It certainly did not protect the investors and instead damaged the credibility and reputation of the SEC. Somehow they still haven't understood the message. They have lost everything that matters. Ripple, the crypto industry, and the rule of law have already prevailed, while we will fight in court for as long as necessary. Let us be clear, the status of XRP as a non-security is the law of the land today. And this does not change in light of this misguided and frustrating appeal. As a reminder, when the SEC unsuccessfully attempted to file an interim appeal, they made it clear that they did not intend to question the status of XRP as a security. Thus, XRP is documented as not being a security in and of itself. So, what is this about? I recently spoke about that as well. Presumably, regarding Ripple's programmatic sales to the exchanges. All right. Then I will move on to Fred Rispoli, who has also responded. The SEC files an appeal. Ripple will file a counter-appeal. The SEC's proceedings against Coinbase and Kraken continue. Life goes on. Don't freak out. But if you are a crypto voter in the USA, you absolutely cannot vote for the ticket of Kamala, Harris, and Waltz. There is no reset. I have emphasized this a few times already. How can a vice president be in government for 3.5 years, fighting against crypto week after week, and then suddenly sing the praises of blockchain? Well, that just doesn't work. Hey, Chris Larson. All right, let's drop it. We don't want to dwell on that now. It wasn't personal money and not any other kind of money. Fred then goes on to address the deadlines for XRP holders. Here is the SEC versus Ripple timeline for the appeal process. First, the SEC's filing, likely due on December 2nd. The SEC will probably request a permissible extension of 30 days, which will be due shortly after, November 1st. Ripple will address each other. The opening speech is due around the same time. The objection briefs will be due around February the 2nd. Ripple will likely take its extension and increase it to March 2nd. The response briefs are due by March 25th. Note that this is at the end of March. An oral hearing will be scheduled for some time between September and October 25th. A decision from the Second Circuit will be issued no earlier than January 2026, but is likely to come in March or April 2026. Then came the question from Chad Steingraver, and then the timeline to reach the Supreme Court. An additional 1.5 to 2 years on top. Okay, crypto-native guns, Morley. Could new laws from Congress cause all of this to disappear? And Frederick Bowley, absolutely everything can disappear. Okay, so we have the timelines 2028. What do I know, 2030? It doesn't really matter. Let's take a look at what this is really about. It's about money. 2001, as always, the Democrats want their CBDCs. The Democrats are now slowly seeking stablecoin regulations, as they naturally want to protect their dollar. We must not forget that. I have pointed out a few times that the ability to keep the dollar nicely liquid and in use worldwide is the stablecoin regulation, so they will continue to work on that. But of course, they would prefer it to be centralized, and they would certainly prefer to have full control over every single digitally traded dollar. Well, it won't be that easy. They probably won't get their CBDC either. So, what happens now? The SEC has 70 days to submit its appeal brief. Therefore, once again regarding Stuart Alderoty, we must not forget that there was no fraud. The proceedings against Chris Larsen and Brett Garlinghouse have been dropped. XRP is not a security, and we have no harmed individuals or institutions. Zero, nada, nothing. No one has been harmed. In the end, it is only about the fact that Ripple did not report these contracts with the institutions to the SEC as securities. We must not forget that in 2019, the SEC also signed that XRP is a currency, along with many other authorities. Well, but that's normal. Let's go back to using U. Where does it stand? Where was that now? That they are thinking about filing another objection here. Well, I can't find that right now. Well, whatever. It doesn't really matter. They will know what they are doing. The better legal team belongs to Ripple, not the SEC. Well, 70 days. What do we have now within these 70 days? And October. We have liquidity being pumped into the market. We will see that crypto will continue to grow. We will see adoption from major institutions. We will centralize. 98% of all central banks have a strong interest in CBDCs. This means that it will continue here as well. Tokenization is progressing. 95% of Ripple's customers are outside the USA. Well, it is what it is. Now we just have 70 days here for the time being. But what is it all about now? This is just my personal opinion. It's all about the money. Gary Gensler will, as he has often hinted, receive a larger check. He needs a success, and it seems to me that he will get it paid for by Ripple. Ripple will accept a higher penalty. They will sit down, come to an agreement, and then there will be a bit of back and forth, and then Ripple will pay a fine. What do I know? They have a few billion XRP lying around. Come on, let's be honest. Is Ripple doing it? Not really. What we need, and especially Ripple, is regulatory clarity for XRP, or generally in the USA, as a clearly purchasable, tradable, and usable XRP, USAND and their service business. Gary Gensler also knows that on November 5th of this year, which is in just about 4.5 weeks, the presidential election will take place. And when I see how the Democrats are actually kicking themselves out of the race, I can't see it any other way. Let me give you an example of what we are not aware of here, but this should be for us. I support Trump. I say that he is fighting against the deep state. He has a clear stance, and this will also be important for crypto, for Ripple, for XRP, for all Kraken, Robinhood, Coinbase. It will be important for all of them that Donald Trump wins. What are the Democrats doing instead? Just one example. Just a tiny little example. So you know what is happening and how great the Democrats' hatred for entrepreneurship is. So Gary Gensler hates Ripple. He hates Brad Garlinghouse. He hates Chris Larson. The guy is something else. This is a despot, folks. He has pushed so many people out of the SEC that they have resigned. There is so much turnover. And that is really not great for an agency like this. Yes, they no longer have good lawyers. Everyone is leaving this sinking ship. Well, Democrats are continuing on the other hand. So, as I said, just one example, and it is unbelievable. The Democrats have actually spent, I believe, a couple of $2 billion on internet access for Americans, particularly in rural areas. As you know, this flood has just swept through North Carolina. We have about 180 dead. And the rescue teams couldn't communicate with each other because there was no internet. It's hard to imagine. Biden has spent billions here on broadband expansion. And Elon Musk, with his Starlink system, has applied there and said, "Watch out, I can offer this for so much dollars per connection." Well, the lobby, which includes cable builders and internet companies, resisted this and lobbied for so long until Elon Musk eventually stepped down. Furthermore, they find it very easy with the Democrats, as they have more or less cut off Elon Musk. As a result, every single citizen over there in America, somewhere in 2001, anywhere, no matter where, it's a big country, is not like here with us. They are supposed to pay up to $4,000 for a connection. Well, that's what Darling costs. Elon Musk has made an offer of $120 per household. Do you understand now what this is all about? It's just a farce. It's just a farce. And I assume that Ripple and the SEC will come to an agreement. And if Donald Trump wins the election and everything moves a bit faster towards crypto, Ripple won't have to do anything at all. And I think then the whole thing will disappear. But Gary Gensler, he hates Ripple, and he hates the lawyers, and he just hates everything. I mean, just look at the guy. Let's be honest, this is my opinion. He just exudes arrogance, opportunism, and narcissism. He is simply a no-go. That's a no-go. Sorry, that's my personal opinion, my channel. Well, let's be surprised now. Let's stay relaxed. As Frederick Bowley beautifully said, life goes on. And until then, we will observe the developments. It is what it is, folks. And I don't want to say I told you so. I'm sorry if many hoped otherwise. Even here, in my community, many said, yes, I actually thought that too. But no, sorry. I've been reporting on this case for how long? For 2.5 years. And I can tell you one thing, XRP is in itself not a security. This rule stands. The developments for Ripple, for the XRP ledger, everything I have shown in the last videos, continues to progress if the Americans, and not just the Americans, I mean the Democrats with their anti-crypto stance, and under Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler, continue this way. Well, I am very sure that Kamala Harris lost a lot of votes today. A lot of votes. Shout out to Mark Cuban. Well, I sincerely wish you all the best. Take your time and stay healthy. And let's keep it all easy peasy. What can I say? It is what it is. They want power and control. They would prefer to control everything over there. Will they make it? I don't think so. Well, see you in the next video, friends. Thank you for your attention. Good night.
The chosen one to lead the new global digital payment system, and they use XRP. In 2013, the Federal Reserve began looking for faster payment options. 2 years later, an action plan was born and a federal payments task force was created. It included one company focused on crypto, Ripple, in 2014, the World Bank in the Better Than Cash Alliance, which includes the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Clinton Global Initiative, and the governments of 32 countries published a report called The Opportunities of Digitizing Payments. 1 year later, the Better Than Cash Alliance featured one crypto company on their website. Ripple today is better than cash. The Alliance and all other UN initiatives are focused on a single agenda, the Sustainable Development Goals. For 2030, you can see the SDGs logo on Bill Gates' lapel, world-leading companies, the Better Than Cash Alliance website, and on the UN's official exchange. What crypto is the exchange officially utilizing for their carbon credit solution? The world will move to a new international standard for exchanging electronic messages between financial institutions by 2025 called ISO 2022. Who was the first ISO 2022 member focused on distributed ledger technology? Ripple, which has partnered with over 300 financial institutions including Bank of America, American Express, PNC, Santander, SBI, HSBC, Standard Chartered Bank, Bank of England, India, Singapore, Scotland, Australia, and Indonesia. The largest banks in Japan, Canada, Egypt, the Middle East, United Arab Emirates, Thailand, Morocco, Bhutan, South Korea, Brazil, and Latin America are involved with Ripple, which has a former employee overseeing the Federal Reserve. Ripple also has a former employee overseeing the world's largest asset manager, BlackRock's digital asset division, and is leading Australia's CBDC effort. Additionally, Ripple has hired 2 former Federal Reserve attorneys to their board. Ripple has 2 former advisors to Clinton and Obama, a former Minister of Defense and Economics of Germany, a former business director of SWIFT, a former SWIFT board member, a former CFO at PayPal, a former head of the DTCC, a former chief business officer at Uber, a former VP of Amazon, and a former SEC chair on their legal team. Ripple, which is a member of the Digital Pound Foundation, Digital Dollar Project, Digital Euro Association, Moja Loop, IMF's High-Level Advisory Board on FinTech, Hyperledger Blockchain Consortium, Open Payments Coalition, Faster Payments Council, Global Payments Steering Group, Cross-Border Working Group, International Association for Trusted Blockchain Applications, Crypto Climate Accord University Blockchain Initiative, World Wide Web Consortium, and a featured partner of the World Economic Forum with 3 members of their team directly listed on the WEF website. Ripple. Now, does Ripple and XRP sound like they're going to disappear, or do they sound like they're part of a much bigger plan? You decide.